After the massacre of 7 million, Earth stopped dreaming. Cities once glittering beneath blue skies now lay hollowed out by plasma fire. The air was thick with ash and the echo of names no one remembered how to mourn. The alien fleet had come without warning, sleek, cold, and efficient. In less than a week, 7 million human lives vanished into silence. What followed was not despair. It was focus. Humanity unified in a way it never had before. The Terran Union rose from the rubble, binding nations through shared rage. One law, one people, one mission. And one decree that would echo through generations: no alien shall survive. Lieutenant Mara Cade was born from that silence. The war had stolen her parents and given her purpose in return. The Union raised her, trained her, shaped her into the image of human vengeance. She served aboard the TUS Retributor, an executioner's blade in orbit. Her eyes saw no stars, only targets. Each deployment was another chance to fulfill the law. Her squad, Echo 9, moved like a machine. No names, no hesitation. They didn't hate the aliens. They simply obeyed. Hatred was wasteful, obedience was efficient. The Union's voice echoed through every broadcast. The law is justice. The law is peace. The law keeps us human. People believed because belief was easier than doubt. Every city displayed murals of fallen heroes. Every home bore the sigil of the Union's promise: never again. Humanity had become both victim and executioner, bound by the same pain. To question the law was to betray the dead. Mara remembered little of her parents beyond fragments: a father's laugh, a mother's lullaby, both erased in fire. The memories played in her mind when she drifted through the stars between missions. Yet even in those fragile moments, her discipline never wavered. The law was truth, and truth demanded obedience. Her latest mission brought the Retributor to the fringes of the asteroid colonies, dust and rock haunted by rumors of alien survivors. Scanners picked up faint energy traces, remnants of what could be ships or graves. The captain addressed the squad, his voice measured and cold. Echo 9, we have reports of Aelder remnants in this sector. You know the decree. Bring me proof that humanity is still righteous. No one replied. They saluted and prepared for descent. Mara's armor hissed as it sealed, her HUD flickering alive. The Union crest glowed red on her shoulder, a constant reminder of duty. Her squad mates loaded rifles, checked comms, and recited the creed under their breath. No alien shall survive. The words had become scripture, an invocation before every purge. As the dropship cut through the silence, the surface of the asteroid came into view, charred ruins of what once might have been an alien outpost. The wreckage drifted among fragments of twisted metal. Mara's senses detected no movement, just whispers of radiation and decay. But the silence felt too heavy, too alive. Her fingers tightened around her rifle. The descent ended in dust and darkness. She moved with precision, scanning for life signs, but there was nothing. Just scorched walls and traces of violence that mirrored the ruins back on Earth. She knelt beside a half-melted helmet, its design alien yet strangely familiar. The visor reflected her face, a soldier born of hate, bound by law. When the recall order came through, she hesitated for a moment, glancing back at the void. A thought flickered: if no alien remained, what purpose would the law serve? She dismissed it instantly. Purpose was not hers to define. Her place was to obey. As the dropship rose, the captain's voice filled the channel once more. Remember what unites us, soldiers. Remember what we lost. The law is not cruelty, it is survival. Mara looked out at the stars, cold and distant, each one a reminder of what humanity had conquered. Her reflection stared back from the viewport, steel eyes, unyielding jaw, the perfect instrument of a species that had learned vengeance better than mercy. Somewhere beyond those stars lay the ghosts of the 7 million. Their silence justified everything. Humanity had become the architects of its own peace, forged in blood and terror. The Retributor turned toward its next destination, its engines cutting through the void with quiet authority. On board, soldiers sharpened their weapons, engineers tuned their scanners, and commanders plotted the next sweep. The cycle continued, purge after purge, mission after mission. No alien cries, no resistance. Only the endless pursuit of extinction disguised as justice. As Mara returned to her bunk, the Union anthem echoed softly through the ship's speakers. One law. One people. One destiny. She closed her eyes and let the words sink in like a prayer. Duty was the only comfort left. The stars awaited, and the law endured. The pod drifted among the ruins, a flicker of life in the graveyard of machines. The sensors screamed faintly, a biosignature, weak but undeniable. Orders were clear, terminate on confirmation. Mara's pulse stayed steady as she breached the hatch, rifle raised. Inside, silence, except for the hiss of leaking air and the slow beeping of a failing life support system. Bodies floated, alien forms twisted in zero gravity. Then, movement, a small hand clutching at the air. The child was barely breathing, eyes wide with terror. Protocol dictated execution. She aimed. The creature's skin shimmered faintly, blood dark against pale scales. It didn't cry out. It just stared, trembling, too weak to move. Her finger froze on the trigger. Something in those eyes, fear, confusion, not malice, made her hesitate. She remembered standing in the rubble as a child herself, smoke stinging her lungs while searchlights passed overhead. The order repeated in her helmet, confirm kill. She lowered her weapon. She told the squad it was dead. No one questioned her efficiency. They trusted her too much. Back on the ship, she concealed the small body within a storage crate, her breath tight as she walked past the scanners. The guilt pressed like gravity. She told herself she needed time to confirm its species, to gather intelligence. Lies came easy in the name of duty. In her quarters, the child stirred, its breathing shallow but steady. She watched it with detached curiosity at first, trying to convince herself it was research. But as she cleaned its wounds and watched the creature flinch, something cracked in her armor of obedience. The propaganda vids had always shown monsters, not this fragile thing that clung to life with quiet determination. She found herself wondering what kind of monsters would slaughter something so small. When she accessed its belongings, she found a crystalline orb, a data memory, alien tech. Curiosity overrode caution. She linked it to her console, expecting tactical data or coordinates. Instead, light filled the room, flickering images of a burning world. The Eldar homeworld under siege, not by them, but by humans. Human ships firing first, glassing cities, destroying orbital defenses. The invasion had begun long before the massacre of 7 million. The aliens hadn't struck first. Humanity had. The entire foundation of the law, the righteous cause she devoted her life to, dissolved before her eyes. She replayed the images over and over, searching for forgery, distortion, anything to make it untrue. But the human insignia on the bombardment fleets was unmistakable. The Terran Union had rewritten history. The massacre had been retribution for their own aggression, spun into propaganda to unite the species under vengeance. She felt her breath hitch, rage boiling beneath the surface. She had killed for a lie. The child stirred again, whispering something in a fractured tone, its translator implant flickering to life. Broken words spilled out, home, gun, fire. She knelt beside it, and for the first time, didn't see an alien. She saw a victim of humanity's ambition. She whispered, "You're safe now." The lie burned on her tongue. The ship's alarms interrupted the fragile calm, routine inspection, biosweep for contamination. Panic struck her chest. She had minutes before the scanners reached her deck. She shoved the child back into the crate, sealing it beneath thermal shielding, praying the Union's instruments wouldn't detect it. Her door hissed open. The captain stood there, imposing, expression unreadable. "Routine check, Lieutenant. Protocol, you understand." She saluted, forcing calm. The captain's gaze swept the room, his voice carrying the weight of doctrine. "The law exists to protect us. We cannot falter. Compassion is decay." He moved closer, studying her eyes. "You remember that, don't you?" She nodded, every muscle taut. He left, satisfied, the hum of scanners fading behind him. Mara collapsed back against the wall, breath shuddering. The child's eyes met hers from the shadows, wide, questioning. She had broken the law. The realization didn't feel like guilt, it felt like freedom, sharp and terrifying. Everything she'd believed in had been manufactured. The anthem that once gave her strength now sounded hollow in her mind. The law keeps us human. No. It kept them obedient. She turned off her comms and replayed the memory crystal one last time, the image of human ships burning alien skies reflected in her eyes. The child reached out, touching her hand gently, as if forgiving her for what she represented. The weight of humanity's crimes pressed down, heavy as gravity, and she knew the path ahead was already chosen. When the ship's intercom called the next mission briefing, she stayed silent. The law had kept humanity united through blood and lies. But now, alone in the cold glow of the screen, Mara Cade made a silent vow, to uncover the truth, whatever the cost. The stars outside burned bright and distant, indifferent witnesses to human cruelty. She no longer saw them as targets. For the first time in her life, she saw them as escape. The truth rotted inside her like poison. Every mission, every oath, every death she justified in the name of vengeance, all built on lies. The Terran Union had crafted a perfect illusion, an enemy to unify humanity, a massacre to sanctify their rule. The crystal had shown her what she wasn't meant to see, and once seen, it could not be buried. Mara worked in silence, slipping between encrypted networks, pulling fragments of data buried beneath layers of falsified history. Every file confirmed it. The first human strike had not been defense. It had been conquest. Humanity had slaughtered a world to build unity through fear. She read the reports with numb precision. Strategic initiative, casualty projections, propaganda drafts written before the first alien counterattack. Her people had planned everything. The law wasn't justice, it was maintenance. The Terran Union kept the population obedient by keeping the enemy eternal. No alien shall survive wasn't vengeance, it was control. And now she was part of the machine that enforced it. Mara hid her work under the guise of diagnostics. Her squad mates noticed her silence, her hesitation during briefings. She dismissed questions with curt replies. But guilt has a scent. Soldiers smell weakness the way wolves sense blood. The child she hid remained quiet, feeding from nutrient packs, eyes following her with a calm that unnerved her. It understood more than it revealed. When it began to speak through its translator, its voice was small, metallic, uncertain. Why, kill us? She had no answer. She whispered, because we were told we had to. The words felt empty even as she said them. The child nodded slowly, its expression unreadable. You afraid, it said. Afraid, so you destroy. The simplicity of it struck harder than any command could. Humanity had feared extinction and had chosen domination instead. She wondered if that was all they ever were, creatures who built peace only after they'd burned everything else. When she contacted the old guard, it wasn't for rebellion. It was for clarity. The network existed in rumor, a cluster of veterans, scholars, and officers disillusioned with the Union's purity doctrine. She transmitted fragments of the crystal's data under encrypted code. The response came hours later, we know. But truth kills faster than bullets. The message ended with a coordinate, followed by a single phrase, do not let them erase it again. Her resolve hardened. She would expose the truth. Humanity deserved to see its reflection. But secrecy in the Union was a fragile thing. Sergeant Varin, her oldest ally, confronted her one night, voice low, eyes sharp. You've been distant. What are you hiding? She tried to deflect, but he pressed on. Don't lie to me, Mara. We're soldiers, not saints. You think I don't know the law's rotten? But it's all that keeps us from tearing each other apart again. He leaned closer. You show people the truth, and we fall back into chaos. You really want that? She hesitated. Varin's logic was brutal but real. The law was built on lies, but without it, the fragile peace would shatter. Humanity had traded morality for stability. Maybe that was the price of survival. But then the child's voice echoed in her mind, "You destroy what you fear." She couldn't live by fear anymore. She told Varin everything, the crystal, the data, the truth. He listened, jaw clenched, silent for a long moment. Then he sighed. "If this gets out, you'll be hunted. We all will." She nodded. "Then they'll have to find me." The captain's suspicion grew quickly. Orders came to inspect every compartment again, citing biocontamination risks. It wasn't an inspection. It was a purge. Someone had reported her. The alert spread through the ship like fire. Soldiers moved in pairs, weapons armed. She knew what that meant. The Union didn't arrest traitors. They erased them. She armed herself, eyes cold, heart steady. She wasn't running this time. The child clung to her side as the corridors filled with marching boots. Over the comms, the captain's voice boomed, "Lieutenant Mara Cade, surrender for decontamination. Obedience is humanity's virtue." She felt the irony bite. Obedience had become their cage. When the first squad breached her door, she didn't hesitate. She moved like a weapon forged for betrayal, precise and unrelenting. Non-lethal at first, stuns, smoke, confusion. But when one soldier raised a rifle toward the child, instinct overruled mercy. She fired. The man dropped instantly. Her mind registered the act as necessity, but her soul felt the crack of something permanent. There was no turning back now. She reached the hangar, alarms screaming through the corridors. Varin was there, waiting beside a small dropship, blood on his sleeve. "You're late," he said. "I bought you 5 minutes." She stared at him, torn between gratitude and grief. "They'll come for you." He smiled faintly. "Someone has to stay behind and make it look like you forced me." He handed her a data drive. "Everything you found, send it to every channel. Let the truth burn through the noise." She stepped onto the ramp, the child clutching her arm. "Varin," she said softly, "why help me?" His eyes were tired but clear. "Because once, I believed in the law too." Then he turned away, weapon raised, ready to face his own execution. The hangar doors opened to the void, the stars endless and cold. As the dropship detached, Mara looked back one last time. The ship that had been her home, her identity, her faith, now felt like a coffin. She whispered into the comms, voice steady and sharp, "They called me traitor. Maybe I am. But if no alien shall survive, then neither should the lies that made us this way." The transmission cut off. Engines roared. The Retributor shrank into the distance, swallowed by darkness. The Terran Union declared her a traitor before her ship even cleared the system. Every channel broadcast her face, every fleet received the order, capture or kill. The law-keepers who once called her comrade now hunted her through the black. But Mara didn't run. She had a destination, and she had the truth. The data crystal contained every buried record, every falsified transmission. She would broadcast it to every colony, every outpost, every mind that still believed in righteousness. Humanity would see itself, stripped of illusion. The dropship's engines screamed as she threaded through the asteroid belt. Warnings flared, missiles locked. She evaded with the precision of instinct, machine and flesh moving as one. Humanity had built perfect killers, and now she was using their own perfection against them. The child sat silently beside her, eyes reflecting the streaking light of tracer fire. Fear was gone, trust had replaced it. The law said no alien shall survive, yet this one sat breathing proof that compassion still existed. The Retributor emerged behind her, its cannons burning bright. The captain's voice came over open comms, calm and resolute. "Lieutenant Cade, surrender the alien. We'll cleanse your record, your name, your life. Humanity must remain pure." She switched her channel to broadcast and replied, "If purity means lies, then we were never human to begin with." She cut transmission and dove toward the Union flagship. The move was suicide, but so was obedience. She breached the outer hull in a blaze of metal and fire. Inside, alarms howled as she fought through soldiers she once called brothers. Every blow was precise, not fueled by rage but purpose. She carried the data drive close, the truth pulsing in her hand like a second heartbeat. When she reached the core server, she locked the door and began the upload. Encryption fought her, firewalls burning red across her screen. She forced it through with a soldier's stubbornness. Outside, the pounding grew louder. The Union would kill her before letting the truth spread. Varen's recorded voice played from the drive, his final words before dying on the retributor. Let them see. Let them remember who started the fire. The files broke through the last barrier, uploading to every relay, every communication satellite. Across the colonies, civilians saw the impossible, footage of Earth's ships firing first, the Aeldar cities burning, the truth behind the law. The anthem of unity died mid-broadcast. The foundation of the Terran Union cracked in an instant. The door exploded inward. The captain entered, weapon raised, fury carved into his face. You've doomed us, Cade. You've torn humanity apart. She stood unarmed, her armor scorched, voice steady. No, I just showed them the mirror. He fired. The round struck her shoulder, spinning her to the floor. The child screamed, lunging toward her, but she waved it back. Run! Another shot followed, missing as the ship shuddered, panic across the fleet as riots erupted on every channel. Soldiers questioned orders, citizens shouted for answers. The Union was fracturing. Bleeding, she dragged herself toward the viewport. The stars burned brighter through the smoke. The captain aimed again, but the child moved faster, activating an emergency blast seal that hurled it and Mara into open space. The void swallowed them as the flagship tore itself apart from internal explosions. She floated weightless, clutching the child close, her breath slow, vision fading. Below them, the debris of the fleet scattered like ashes across the dark. Rescue came hours later, an old transport piloted by members of the Old Guard who had traced her signal. They took her to an uncharted world, a wasteland littered with alien ruins. The child slept in her arms as dawn broke over glass plains. Humanity's fleets were gone from the sky, silence had returned to the stars. News came slowly through scattered transmissions, the law abolished, the Union divided, systems rising and falling in chaos. But among it all, whispers of a new beginning emerged, one built not on fear, but on memory. Mara sat beneath the rising sun, her arm bound in bandages, watching the alien child chase shadows across the sand. For the first time, she felt no duty, no orders, no anthem echoing in her mind. Just the quiet rhythm of survival. The child paused, looking back at her. Home, it asked. She smiled faintly. Maybe we build one. In the distance, the stars shimmered like watching eyes. Humanity had not fallen, it had merely shed its mask. The truth was ugly, but it was real. And in that truth lay the chance to begin again. Her voice, soft and steady, carried into the empty wind. We built peace on bones. Maybe this time, we'll build it on mercy. The recording of her words would later become legend, broadcast through broken colonies and rogue frequencies. It was said that wherever the Union's banners once flew, her message followed. Humanity learns slow, but it learns. The law was gone, but the species that had written it endured, terrifying, relentless, and still capable of something greater. The stars trembled once more, not from fear, but from possibility.